Actually, I was kind of laid off from the stagehands union out in Vegas, and I was also laid off from the drywallers union because I was in both unions illegally at the time, and according to them. And I had nothing better to do. I've been writing a lot of scripts, and I said, you know what, I'm going to go on Craigslist and see if anybody wants to get their script written, if anybody wants to collaborate. So I hadn't really done any collaboration up to that point. I mostly did my own thing. And I came across this posting that said, I need a script writer. I opened it up. I said, send me, he's auditioning screenwriters, this fella is. Don't know who he is. I said, well, he'd send me I contacted him. He said he would send me a sample scene of something he wanted. It was this idea about these two hitmen, Rocco and Vinny, who sent out to shake down this accountant named Ching. And somehow they get the address messed up and they end up at the Psychopath's house. And that was pretty much all I know. I didn't really even know about the Psychopath's house part. I actually just knew they were in a car. He wanted he wanted Rocco to be this Joe Pesci type, and he wanted Vinny to be this sort of goofball closet Jehovah Witness who was hyper intellectual. If I remember the email right, I saved all that stuff. But so I basically sat down, typed it up that night, got inspired really quick, and typed it up in one evening, about 3 or 4 pages. Fired it off to him. He got a hold of me like hours later and said, "The job's yours." He loved what I wrote. So that was Keith Mosher, the director of One Long Day.
All coming together.
The movie itself is a bit of magic. It's meant to be scenario. There's no way. I've never heard of this sort of thing happening where all these sort of talents came together for free. 2 years running, continually investing their time into something that they're getting nothing back out of. And this movie is really good. The action is great. We're using every special effect available. We've got bullet time in this movie. We've got
do the bullet time, the camera.
Yeah, where you see the bullet flying through the air and all that stuff. We're putting everything in it. I mean, everything available to us at this level without having to pay gargantuan amounts of money for, outside of what we're paying for a hard drive space at this point. We're using, and we're going for complete broke. We're leaving nothing for the swim back. We're going as far as we can, and it's gonna be an amazing movie. I think it's just one of those meant to be things. It's a very special movie for all of us. We got from top down. You got Gruff, Tony Riverio, Rocco and Vinny. You have Tommy Can. You have Nicky Scars. You have Coldfinger's Johnny. You have Skunk. You have the Kid. These are the primary characters that have anything to do with the movie. And as far as the only dog. Yeah, and then of course Fluffy. Chris Schwab. He's a sweetheart. Actually, he's a great guy. Plays Gruff, our very intimidating madman of a revenge spree sort of guy. He's really mysterious intentionally. As the story evolves over the course of the trilogy, we'll learn more about him. But right now, he's really a mysterious fellow, and we want to keep him that way. He's sort of this. Where the heck did this guy come from? I mean, it started off as a simple mob story about these mobsters roughing this accountant who stole some money from the mafia. And the next thing you know, the whole mob family is thrown into this crazy revenge spree, and they don't see this guy coming ever. He is just showing up, and this is over the course of one day. So get out of Gruff's way, please. In this movie, it's quite amazing. Gruff. I'm going to keep Gruff potentially mysterious for this, but suffice to say, he's bad to the bone. He's one tough hombre. I kind of sort of invented him. He's a cross between like RoboCop and like Dirty Harry. That's how I want him to be. So they're two very nice people. Chris Schwab was a postman that Keith knew, friends with, and basically when he saw him, he said, "That's Gruff." He saw Chris and he goes, "That's Gruff." And he talked to Chris, and Chris was more than happy to do it. He did an amazing job. This is his first acting. We're talking about a postman here. And he did an amazing job. I thought he did great. Really did everything we asked him to do. The action sequence with him, he threw himself into it. I mean, there's a scene where he's getting pulled off the back of a truck and hitting the ground. And that's him. and they do it take after take after take after him doing that, and that's him every time. All the action scenes where you see people flying off Chris and people bouncing off Chris, that's not a stunt guy, that is Chris. And Chris threw himself into this role, and he's amazing. He should be congratulated for the work he did. So, considering that he's never acted before. $3,000. We had no budget, and we had to get good actors. Otherwise, the movie was going to flop. We knew right away. The material that I wrote was very challenging, and I did it intentionally. I didn't want, because that way if somebody came in and was less than material, right away we would know. I didn't want to write down to anybody, I wanted to write over. So I wanted to shoot for higher grade actors right away. So I wrote kind of complex material with complex characters with that depth. And Keith ran across somebody who knew some people in the show in Vegas called Sopranos Last Supper, which is a kind of musical comedy of The Sopranos done in a skit style format and live. And these people go on in the crowd. It's a great show. If you're in Vegas, go see it. But these guys, Dean Morrow, Tommy Lynch, Rob Morocco, they're all in this show. And it really all started with Dean Morrow, who plays Tony Rivero. Keith actually talked to him and said, "Hey, I got the script. I'd like you to be in it." He was like, "Yeah. When I throw it to me. I'm busy right now, but if I like it, I'll pass it on to somebody. We'll get it out." And so that was hardly a yes, or I'll be glad to check out your script or anything like that. So we shot in the script after I read it, and he was ecstatic about it. He loved it right away. He said he had no problem playing Tony Rivero. He says he could bring people in from The Sopranos Last Supper. These guys are all amazing comedians and amazing actors. Tommy Lynch is hysterically funny. Dean is hysterically funny. Rob Morocco is hysterically funny. And so we get these really super talented actors who are really on the cutting edge right now, really at the top of their game, coming into our movie, and they just knock out page after page of dialogue and action. It was just amazing. They were completely amazing. But again, this is all Keith. He did it. We really made this. We should call this movie "How to Make a Movie Using Craigslist." Almost all of our stuff came through Craigslist, but it was the director of photography, me, and Keith. Everybody met through Craigslist pretty much. The Dean Morrow you have to ask Keith about, but the Dean Morrow was the main connection to get all the other actors to come along. This is all Keith. This is all Keith. He wanted. He's got this thing about. He's got the super soft spot for dogs. He doesn't care if people die in droves, but dogs should not be harmed, in his opinion. So I was like, okay. So we had to create this sort of sentimental sort of relationship between our main protagonist Gruff and his dog Fluffy. And this is the first plot point. This is the whole thing that gets the whole movie rolling. Is these hitmen go to Gruff's house, and they end up getting in a huge battle with him, and somehow Gruff gets knocked out, and they end up killing Fluffy because Fluffy attacks the hitman, nearly mauling one of them nearly to death, and he's a wiener dog on top of everything else. It actually started off as a poodle. We couldn't get a poodle, so we ended up with a dachshund. So we ended up going with the dachshund, and the dachshund comes out, the wiener dog, and he's mauling one of the hitmen, and he has to shoot him something like 12 or 15 empties a clip on him just to kill him. And then as a message, he cuts off the dog's leg and leaves it behind, thinking that they've actually gone to the right place. They leave this dog's carcass behind to send a message to the guy that he needs to get the money back to their boss, Tony Rivero. And so that's the whole thing. This is all a revenge movie now. So Gruff wakes up, sees Fluffy's dead, and decides that he's going to kill everybody associated with the murder of his dog. It's a big revenge movie. Crew is all Craigslist. The writer, me, Jason Koblenz, the director of photography, the makeup people, Noreen, and Scott, and I don't remember everyone's name because I wasn't involved in it that intimately, but everybody came from Craigslist. Plus, Keith is a master of getting people to do things for free. I've never seen anything like it. So I'm a lot more relaxed about improv than Keith is, actually. Keith wanted everyone to stick to the script very specifically. He was very specific, stick to the script. And he's still that way. He's a Nazi about it. And he wants everybody to stick to the script. And these guys are kind of improvisational actors, especially Tommy and Rob. Dean's really good about sticking to the script, but he's he's got this way where he improves himself. He just says, this sounds better this way, this sounds better that way. While Tommy and Rob might just go off. They might just start riffing, and I think it's great. I think some things that enhance, some things that kind of makes. The only problem I have with this type of improvisation is the editing process, is gluing, because now you have nothing that matches up anymore from shot to shot to shot to shot. Because one angle they're doing one thing, one angle they're doing another thing, one angle they're doing a different thing, so that makes it difficult. So keeping up to the script is really important. But I love improvisation. I have no ego to speak of. I have a script out there that got made, and I'm happy about it. And if they want to improv all over it and it enhances it, makes it better, I say go for it. Oh, I call it the my baby syndrome. Those writers are, this is my baby. Don't mess it up with your own improv. This is what I want done. I don't really have that syndrome. I'm like, I write it and throw it out there and say make it into something, because I'm gonna write about 10 more of these. So I've written in choreography into the script. I mean, literally written in from scene to scene what I wanted to see in the fights. And I knew it was going to get changed. So I told Keith, I know I wrote fights in there. And Keith is very particular about it. Right off the bat, he told me, he goes, don't worry about writing up the fights, because I'm going to choreograph. I'm like, I go, well, dude, I kind of know what they're looking like and how beat up they are from scene to scene to scene as I'm writing it. Because you really have these people getting punished and pummeled from scene to scene to scene. So they're going to be in different states of mind as the movie trails on, as they're getting beat up. And so I basically sat down, I just choreographed, what I wanted to see in each fight sequence. And some of it got used, some of it didn't. Keith was pissed because of the fight choreography in the script. But he just chopped it up and yanked out what he wanted and threw away the rest. And which is kind of funny, because I got a little bit of what I wanted in there, but it is all Keith. And, we got real lucky. Keith got a stunt crew to come in from Los Angeles, a really prominent one, to work with us for free, because they liked the script. In my case, I was really fortunate. What I had imagined it would be like, it turned out to be pretty close to being like. And so I'd done a lot of reading and research. It wasn't as if I was like, oh, I know exactly what it's going to be, and it was just amazing foresight. But I had some working knowledge. I've done so much research at this point about how it's done. I didn't really walk in with any illusions about what was going to happen or how long it was going to take. I mean, we're at the point between conception and now we're at the 2-year mark right now, and we're still editing right now. So we're still doing pickup shots here and there. We just did some pickup shots last week. It was really a lot of fun. But yeah, we knew there was going to be pickup shots. We talked about it before we started shooting. There was going to be pickup shots when it was all done. The editing process is going to be long. We don't have editors coming out of our butt. We don't have all these people helping us out. So it's kind of us. I mean, we were helping Keith edit the other day. Keith's been editing. Jason's been editing. We were talking about bringing in an editor. The editing process is grueling.
When you were writing,
males between the age of 13 and 35.
okay.
The last word on One Long Day. One Long Day is action-packed. It's funny. It's ridiculous. It's over the top. It's under the bottom. It's all around. It's great. Go see it. You'll have a great time. I promise.